What does literature have to do with astrology? I am Vivi Henriette of Art of the Zodiac, astrologer, and I am here with my co-collaborator, Cameron Steele of Interruptions, to discuss just that. Cameron, I will let you give yourself a more proper introduction.
That's pretty proper. I am a writer, a teacher, a tarot reader, an astrologer. All of the things, as many Sag risings are. I also write the weekly newsletter Interruptions at the intersection of literature, illness, and the occult. And there are a lot of things that literature share in common with astrology. But one of the most magical things that creative nonfiction has in common with astrology is that both the essay and the natal chart are creative forms that help us to tell stories. Not only do creative nonfiction and astrology help us to delve into the contents of a life, they also help us to explore the edges of the stories we tell about ourselves as they come up against the stories of other people, not to mention the stories of the more than human world. So we've talked a lot about it. You and I have grown a little tired of the patriarchal doom beat that has served. Yeah, it's just like the constant backdrop of astrology as it's gone mainstream over the past decade. And I understand that. But I think we've both come to this point where we really feel like we don't need visions of an apocalyptic future. We need stories that inspire us to live ethically, joyfully, and creatively now. And we need literary and divinatory storytelling that remembers that we participate in and co-create reality as it unfolds. So we are teaching a class.
We are.
Yeah.
A 6-week course. And I just want to add to what you said, that I think, giving breath to the fact there is a lot of doom out there. We are in the, it's a struggle in the world, but I think it's important to remember, and something that we're doing with this class is really amazing and beautiful things happen during difficult times. And astrology and story both help us to remember that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the sort of, I think, most urgent questions of our time is how do we live, and what is the point of making art or trying to express the particularities of our own little lives at times like these, times of genocide and war and climate crisis. And how do we do that with the understanding that hope is an active presence, and that the act of writing and the act of reading can help us, remain present with suffering while also imagining how we might move into future worlds, that don't run like the script of the 5 apocalyptic movies that I saw as trailers before I watched Dune last week. So we're going to teach a course called The Fire at Night. And like you said, it's 6 weeks. It's for astrologers who want to engage with astrology in a more compassionate, robust, literary way, and for writers who want to understand how to engage with the divinatory language of astrology and the elements, to think about narrative and storytelling, and particularly the essay form in a more spiritual sense. So we are going to, in this 6-week class, guide students through the close reading of the work and charts of brilliant past and present storytellers, including Audre Lorde, Alicia Kennedy, Rachel Andrew Lee, and Simone Weil, among others. And it's also a workshop course, which I'm really excited about. And what I mean by that, it's for those of you who are hungry to draft or workshop or receive feedback on your own writing, can do so under my guidance as a former university English professor, and also with insight from my work and Vivi's work as practicing astrologers trained in Hellenistic and esoteric methods. But I mean, you also don't just have to be a writer or an astrologer or identify in one of these boxes. So, I mean, this class is really at its base for anyone who wants to enhance their life, their writing, their well-being, their sense of having agency and purpose through story, magic, and community.
Yeah, and something to remember, I mean, if you are a writer and you want to engage with story on a deeper level,
Mhm.
I could say even at an unconscious level, this is gonna be a really great way of looking at that from an astrological angle. And if you're an astrologer and you might not even, consider yourself a writer, but
Mhm.
maybe writing and story is something that's going to help you dig deeper into your practice or even just make sense of the world right now. I know when we were sitting to do this, you wrote these beautiful notes and you said writing is how I make sense of the world. And I think to some extent this workshop is for that. It's for people who want to make sense of the world, the current moment, their stories, the stories of those around us
Mhm.
through story, through symbol, through planets.
Yes, yes. So it'll start April 22nd. The class will feature, it'll happen on Mondays. So the class will run for about 2.5 hours on Monday evenings Eastern time. And will feature class lectures again on the natal charts and the beautiful essays written by some of the writers I mentioned above, as well as then moving into a workshop session where we literally workshop and focus on student pieces, whether, and again, it can be, your own essay that you're trying to write, or it could be like, let's workshop and help you develop the language or the paragraphs for your website or for
Mhm.
whatever sort of work you're doing in the world. Can be more playful than that. And then we'll have Friday office hours every week throughout the course for one-on-one consultations about writing and charts and astrology with me and with Vivi. And then also, of course, a Discord server for members to befriend each other, support each other, have conversations, just like enjoy that sense of building people to talk to in our own weird little corner of the internet through this sort of creative and astrological storytelling process.
Yes, and I will say as a sort of bonus to this, depending on when you're listening to this recording, we are doing interviews with two of the writers whose work we'll be featuring. So
Mhm.
you can head over to either of our Substacks. I'm assuming we'll share. It's Are the Zodiac Talk Talk Talk. That's where you can find me, your interruptions on Substack, but we will be sharing these interviews. So if you just kind of want to learn a little bit more about some of the writers we'll be featuring, that's going to be there for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about those interviews. We'll be talking to Alicia Kennedy about her work as a writer, an essayist, and someone who's really involved in food justice and food writing. We'll be looking at her brilliant Mercury and Sagittarius, Mercury on Antares and Sagittarius. We'll be talking to Rachel Ann Jolie and talking about writing about feminism and pop culture and the body and desire through the lens of her earth sign Mercury. So I'm really excited. I mean, just those, like, just to be able to sit at the feet of these like um, brilliant writers who are just, telling some of the most important and artful stories out there today about what it means to live will be really cool. So
Yeah. Well,
all of this and more.
I'm super stoked. And depending on what platform you are listening to this recording, if you have any questions about the class, um, feel free to reach out to either of us.
Yes, definitely. See you
Perfect.
there.
Okay. Bye.